the diverse range of construction mistakes that can occur, from structural failures to design flaws and engineering errors. That gave rise to one of the most iconic landmarks in the entire world, to a tragic building collapse. Here are the 5 construction projects that didn't go as planned. Number 1. Lotus Riverside Complex. China is known for its irrationally fast, efficient and surpassing construction projects. As the most populous country in the entire world, it has to keep up with ever-growing demand for housing and infrastructure. Actually, just in 2021 alone, China managed to build more than 6 million residential properties. However, because of its sheer size and magnitude coupled with tight schedules and profit margins, China's construction industry is also known for sacrificing quality in exchange for quick returns of investment. On June 27 at 5:40 a.m., Shanghai was shocked out of its slumber by the sound of a 13-story tower block crashing to the ground. A migrant worker who entered the building to collect his tools was killed in the collapse. Almost completely intact, the newly constructed building collapsed on its side, narrowly avoiding its neighboring buildings. Initial investigation revealed that the collapse had been caused by excavation for an underground garage in the building that might have caused the building to fall. Due to excavation, the soil muddied and loosened, which leads to fall of the building. After some deep investigation, it had been revealed that the construction company behind the project, apparently, had already been warned of the potential risks before the incident. A representative of the company even told reporters that they have been constantly ignored by the construction firm, after repeated warnings about the loose soil. Later, it had been disclosed that the supervising company was hired by the construction firm themselves. If any problem that would be raised in future would directly go to the construction company, which is matter of conflict. After the incident, 9 key individuals from Shanghai Construction were detained for further investigation. In addition to this, a large group of people also demanded refund or compensation from the company. Number 2. Berlin Aquadome. The Aquadome was a 25-meter tall cylindrical acrylic glass aquarium with built-in transparent elevator inside the Radisson Collection Hotel in Germany's capital Berlin. This water dome contained a volume of 1 million liters of water and was the centerpiece of the hotel, and featured more than 1,500 tropical fishes of 100 different species. The cylindrical tank burst at 5:43 a.m. local time on the 16th of December, 2022. Approximately 1 million liters of water poured into the hotel and street, together with the 1,500 fish it hosted, devastating the interior of the hotel. 2 people were injured and hospitalized, with officials and the media noting that the collapse would have likely resulted in several fatalities had it taken place later in the day. The majority of the 1,500 fish were killed as a result. The rush of salt water damaged several nearby businesses and was powerful enough to be detected by local seismographs. In advance of a safety investigation, material fatigue has been named as a possible cause, and the large temperature difference. The nighttime temperature in Berlin was -9 degrees Celsius, while that of the water was 26 degrees Celsius, was identified as dangerous for the material. Number 3. The Tower of Pisa. As a UNESCO World Heritage Site, and with more than 6 million people visiting each year, the Leaning Tower of Pisa is one of Italy's most relevant monuments, is actually a result of construction flaw. The tower was constructed in 13th century and served as a freestanding bell tower of Pisa Cathedral. The tower began to lean during construction in the 12th century, due to soft ground which could not properly support the structure's weight and because of only 3-meter deep foundation. The tower slowly started to lean as the ground could not support the weight of the structure. So how exactly did the tower manage to survive all these years? Why is it not collapsing? Because construction was halted for a long time as the Republic of Genoa was preoccupied in the underlying soil, and had enough time to settle and harden over the years. Over the next few decades, the tower's tilt gradually worsened as the structure was finally completed almost 200 years after construction started. The tower was closed to the public on the 7th of January, 1990, after more than 2 decades of stabilization studies and spurred by the abrupt collapse of the Civic Tower of Pavia in 1989. The bells were removed to relieve some weight, and cables were cinched around the 3rd level and anchored several hundred meters away. And residences in the path of a potential collapse were vacated. The selected method for preventing the collapse of the tower was to slightly reduce its tilt to a safer angle, by removing 38 cubic meters of soil from underneath the raised end. The tower's tilt was reduced by 45 centimeters, returning to its 1838 position. After a decade of corrective reconstruction and stabilization efforts, the tower was reopened to the public on the 15th of December, 2001, and was declared stable for at least another 300 years today. The Leaning Tower of Pisa remains as one of the most visited monuments in Italy precisely because of a construction mistake more than 80 years ago that gave it its iconic tilt. Sometimes mistakes can actually turn out to be a good thing after all. And finally, number 4, Sampoon Department Store. In the events leading up to the 1988 Summer Olympics, there was a large development boom in the Seoul capital area. All buildings erected by South Korean companies typically built the structures quickly because of the large number of projects assigned to them. The Sampoon Group began construction of the Sampoon Department Store in 1987 over a tract of land. The building's plans originally called for a residential apartment building with 4 floors. However, during construction, the blueprints were changed by the future chairman of Sampoon Group's construction division, Lee Jun, to instead create a large department store. This involved cutting away a number of support columns to install escalators and the addition of a 5th floor. Woosung refused to carry out these changes due to serious structural concerns. In response, Lee Jun fired them and used his own company to complete the store's construction instead. The building was completed in late 1989, and the department store opened to the public on July 7, 1990, attracting an estimated 40,000 people per day during the building's 5 years of existence. In April 1995, cracks began to appear in the ceiling of the 5th floor in the south wing, with the only response by Lee Jun and staff management to move merchandise and stores from the top floor to the basement. On the morning of June 29, the number of cracks in the area increased dramatically, prompting management to close parts of the top floor. However, the store management failed to shut the building down or issue formal evacuation orders, as the number of customers in the building at the time was unusually high, and management did not want to lose the day's revenue. When civil engineering experts were invited to inspect the structure, a cursory check revealed that the building was at risk of collapse. 5 hours before the collapse, the first of several loud bangs was heard emanating from the top floors. Around then, it was realized that collapse of the building was inevitable, and an emergency board meeting was held. While the directors suggested to him that all staff and customers be evacuated, Lee Jun angrily refused to do so for fear of revenue losses. However, Lee Jun and the executives left the building safely before the collapse occurred. At about 5 p.m., as the 5th floor ceiling began to sink, store workers finally closed off all customer access to the 5th floor. The store was packed with hundreds of shoppers 57 minutes before the collapse, but Lee Jun did not close the store or carry out repairs during that time. When the store started to produce cracking sounds at about 5:52 p.m., workers began to sound alarms and evacuate the building, but it was too late. The roof gave way, and the air conditioning units crashed through into the overloaded 5th floor, and the building's south wing began pancaking into the basement. In less than 20 seconds, all the columns in the store's south wing had given way, killing 502 people and trapping more than 1,500 inside. And its aftermath, the incident took the lives of 502 people, which is considered as the largest peacetime disaster in South Korean history. Soon after the collapse, Lee Jun, along with his own son and other key people in his company, were found guilty of negligence and received sentence of more than 10 years of imprisonment. The event also led to a comprehensive review of the country's construction safety laws and regulations and revealed a deeply rooted corruption. Do you know any other construction mistakes? Please let us know in the comment section, and if you enjoyed the video, please like it, share it, and subscribe the channel.